Okay, remember in our last step, in order to rewrite our standard form equation into vertex form, we isolated the coefficient of the x, the leading coefficient, out, and we put the rest of that part, those two terms, in parentheses, and we still have our constant out on the end over here. Our next step is going to be to turn this into a perfect square trinomial by adding b over 2, all of that squared, into our quadratic in the parentheses over here. So b is the coefficient of our second term, which is 2 in this case. So we're going to do 2 over 2 squared. 2 over 2 is 1, and 1 squared is just 1. So we will be adding a 1 to turn this into a perfect square trinomial. Now remember, since we added the 1 over here, we don't actually want to change this equation. We have to subtract the same value outside of the parentheses. We're just doing this so we can rewrite this as a perfect square trinomial. So we're not just going to subtract 1 from the outside of the equation. This is actually 6 times 1, so we're going to subtract 6 from the outside of the equation to keep the overall value the same. Now we can rewrite this equation in our next step. We have y equals 6 times, and you can see this is a perfect square trinomial. We have an a squared term, a b squared term, and this coefficient equals 2ab. So this is going to turn into x plus 1 squared. And then we have negative 35 minus 6, which equals negative 41 over here. And so we created a perfect square trinomial. We factored it out to look like a binomial squared. We made sure that we subtracted the value that we added within the parentheses on the outside, and now we have a vertex form equation where we have a vertex of negative 1, because remember in our equation it's a negative h, negative 1, and negative 41. That is the vertex of this parabola, and this parabola, we can tell from our leading coefficient, is an upward facing parabola with the vertex of negative 1 and negative 41.